The film begins with journalist Jerry, who is talking to his boss at work. His boss tells him that he must go investigate strange deformities that have appeared on cows. Even though Jerry feels bored and unmotivated, he needs the money, so he reluctantly agrees to go. There, he meets the landowner Gary, who shows him a strange symbol carved onto one of the cows. Jerry laughs at him and mocks the idea, saying that Gary's son probably likes some music band and simply painted their logo on the cow. Jerry gets annoyed because this means he won't get paid. However, something catches his attention, and he walks toward a dead tree nearby. Jerry carves a letter into a crack in the tree trunk. When he looks closer, he finds a doll hanging there, with the words, "The Impossible Date," written on it, February 31st, 1845. The film then flashes back to the year 1845, where we see the villagers gathered together. They have tied a witch to the tree, holding the doll, trapping the curse inside it, and then setting the witch on fire. The story returns to the present. Jerry claims that there are no real deformities and that the whole thing is nothing special. Still, he decides to break the doll, saying that when an ancient curse is broken, it can cause deformities in animals, giving them a story worth telling. As a journalist, Jerry takes advantage of the situation and photographs Gary with the broken doll, making it look like Gary found it himself. What he doesn't realize is that this act has unleashed a powerful evil far beyond their control. Later, Jerry is driving his car, talking to himself, regretting that he could have been famous if he weren't so foolish. Suddenly, a bottle falls onto the back seat. As he turns around, a girl appears in front of the car. He swerves sharply, crashes into a tree, and jumps out to check if he hit her, but she's gone. Moments later, she appears again and walks toward the forest. Jerry follows her until she reaches the tree. The girl tells him that she is offering her soul and that she will do whatever is asked of her. As soon as Jerry touches her, she collapses unconscious. He immediately takes her to Father Hagen, who is extremely nervous and afraid for her. A doctor arrives and communicates with the girl using sign language. We learn that her name is Alice, and that she can neither hear nor speak. Jerry is confused, because he clearly heard her talking at the tree, so how could she be deaf and mute? The next day, Jerry goes to the church. Alice hears someone calling her name. Suddenly, she begins moving uncontrollably, and all the girls start following her. A crowd gathers as Alice reaches the tree. She appears to be speaking to someone only she can see, someone she believes is kind and wants to help her. Suddenly, Alice begins to speak. Father Hagen is shocked and confused by what's happening, yet at the same time, he feels happy. Alice tells everyone to come back the next day at the same time, because something important is going to happen. Jerry calls his editor and says that the cow deformity story will have to wait. He has another story now, one that will make a lot of money. He then calls Monica, a former colleague, and tells her he has a story about a girl who may have been healed by a divine miracle. She doesn't believe him and reminds him that he was exposed in the past for publishing fake stories, which caused his entire team to lose their jobs. She hangs up on him. That night, Jerry dreams of a demon being released after the doll was broken. He wakes up when a drop of water falls on him. Looking up, he sees strange deformities spreading across the ceiling. The next morning, he rushes to the church, but Father Hagen refuses to let Alice go outside, fearing for her safety. He tells everyone to leave and return another day. Despite this, Alice walks out and heads toward the tree. At the tree, Alice touches it, and something seems to pass into her. She looks at a young boy who is unable to walk and asks him if he believes in miracles. She convinces him to stand up, and miraculously, the boy moves his legs and begins to walk. Father Hagen is overwhelmed with joy and disbelief, while the crowd is stunned by the miracle they have just witnessed. Everyone becomes convinced that Alice has been chosen and granted a special power. After that, news of Alice's miracle spreads rapidly thanks to Jerry's documentation. Within just 1 month, everyone knows about her story. Father James Giles announces a conference to discuss Alice's miracle. During the conference, he presents photographs from the year 1858 of a French girl named Bernadette Soubirous, who claimed she had received multiple visits from the Virgin Mary. In 1917, 3 girls in Portugal also reported similar visions, and miracles were said to have occurred through them. Finally, in 1981, in a city in Bosnia, people claimed they had noticed her presence as well. As a result, there are now 3 major shrines that receive an enormous number of visitors. Jerry asks whether the tree itself will also be turned into a shrine that people can visit, since miracles are happening there. James explains that the Vatican has assigned Mr. Delgard to investigate the healings and make sure they are not the result of demonic powers or anything unnatural. Delgard steps forward and explains that in the 18th century, Pope Benedict XIV established strict rules to determine the authenticity of miracles. The main criteria are that the illness must be incurable and that the healing must be instant and complete. Delgard publicly states that he will use every possible method to disprove the claims, but if he fails, then the miracles will be considered real. The story then shifts to Father Hagen, who senses that something is wrong and walks toward the tree, which has already been fenced off. As he approaches it, his foot sinks into something in the ground. He bends down to see what it is and finds the doll. He tries to uncover the truth through it, but suddenly the demon appears from behind the tree, attempting to kill him. At that moment, workers arrive, and the demon disappears. Father Hagen returns home as if nothing happened. Jerry later sits down with James and Delgard, and it is decided that Jerry will be involved in the investigation as an outside observer, since they need someone neutral. Delgard strongly dislikes this idea, but James agrees, believing that everyone deserves a second chance. When they return home, Alice feels very comfortable around Jerry and talks to him openly about everything. She suddenly reminds him of his past life and tells him that he now has the chance to change his reality and become famous again. That is why she chose him. Father Hagen then speaks privately with Jerry and warns him not to exploit his niece. He is extremely tired and suffers from lung problems, yet he still pulls out cigarettes and starts smoking. He tells Jerry that every girl who claimed to have seen the Virgin Mary met the same fate. They were either locked away in a convent, died naturally by the end of the year, or were killed. That is why he is deeply afraid for Alice. Later, Jerry returns home and senses that something is watching him, but he ignores it. He enters his room and decides to research the town's history and everything about it since its founding. The next day, he goes to the church and meets Delgard, who insults him and continues provoking him, especially since he already despises Jerry because of his bad reputation. Jerry argues that the Bible teaches that everyone can atone for their sins, but Delgard responds that true atonement requires full confession and lifelong repentance. Only then can a person truly be forgiven. Meanwhile, Father Hagen begins training Alice to sing. She turns out to be naturally gifted, with a beautiful voice. It has always been her dream to join the church choir, and at last, her dream is coming true, especially since her voice is strong and she has excellent control over pitch and melody. But suddenly, Father Hagen collapses to the ground, exhausted. Alice rushes toward him and asks whether he believes in the Virgin Mary and if he is willing to follow her in everything. When he confirms this, she does something mysterious, and then places her hand on his chest. He jolts as if electrocuted, then suddenly begins breathing normally again. Delgard is completely shocked and can't believe what he has witnessed, while Father Hagen is stunned and overjoyed at the same time. However, when Alice steps closer to him, he sees a demon stretching out its hand toward him, filling him with terror. They all go to Dr. Natalie, with Father James present. Natalie shows them Father Hagen's old x-rays, which reveal that doctors had given him only 6 months to live. But the new scans are completely different, perfectly clean, with no signs of illness. In fact, he is now in far better condition than before and has fully recovered. This confirms that the miracles are truly real. A new shrine is established, causing the economy of Enfield to rise dramatically, especially as large numbers of people begin visiting the town in hopes that their wishes will come true. Monica calls Jerry and offers him a job to work on the story. Jerry immediately starts setting conditions. He wants a private office, his position as an editor back, and points out that several other organizations have already offered him work, so they need to secure him quickly. He is thrilled, believing he has regained his fame and that everything is finally back on track. Once again, he is returning to the spotlight. Meanwhile, Father Hagen discovers a crack and reaches inside it, finding an ancient-looking book. He begins reading it, sensing that someone is watching him and realizing the situation has become dangerous. When he enters the church, he is surprised to find someone inside the confessional. He approaches to speak, and hears a woman with a terrifying voice. She confesses that she has harmed many people and devoted herself to the devil, and now he is trying to destroy her, but he doesn't know what happened to those who tried before him. She claims she tore flesh from bone. Fear overtakes him, but suddenly everything grows quiet, and he steps outside. As he prepares to open the second confessional door to see who is inside, he is confronted by the demon woman, standing directly in front of him with a noose around her neck. She blocks his escape, grabs the rope, and pulls him toward her. At the same time, Jerry sits with Alice and says goodbye to her, as she is being relocated to another place, farther away from the public. Jerry reassures her that everything will be fine and gives her a CD filled with different types of music so she can listen to it. They say their farewells, and it seems sincere. Later, Jerry sits in a restaurant and thinks he sees Natalie sitting at the table across from him. They decide to sit together and talk about the miracles that have occurred. Jerry tells her that he found a doll wrapped in chains, marked with the date February 31st, an impossible date. Natalie is instantly alarmed when she hears this and explains that long ago, the doll was believed to bring good luck to crops, but it was also used to imprison an evil spirit inside. An impossible date, like February 31st, was written on it so that no one would ever open it and release the spirit trapped within. Jerry is horrified, realizing that he had freed an evil spirit and helped unleash it upon the world. As they walk through the forest, he notices a house he has seen before and asks Natalie about it. She explains that the church bought most of the land in 1845. Jerry learns many disturbing facts about the church. He looks toward the water and recalls when something rises from it. When he looks at Natalie again, he is terrified to see her in the form of a demon. He tells her that he must reach Father Hagen immediately to discuss something related to the church. Jerry rushes to the church to find Father Hagen, but no one is there. He hears a sound coming from the confessional and slowly approaches, pulling the curtain aside, only to find it empty. Anxiety overwhelms him. Suddenly, Father Hagen appears behind him, hanging. Jerry goes to Alice and tells her what happened. She is devastated by the death of her uncle, the man who raised her. Jerry tries to stop her from doing the interview, but she insists, saying that everyone must learn about the Virgin Mary, whom she believes is the one helping her, not the devil. Jerry attempts to cast doubt on this, explaining that Father Hagen believed wherever God is present, the devil is always close by. Alice becomes furious and demands that he never speak about her that way. She tells him she is speaking to her now, and that she says doubt leads to a curse, and a curse leads to destruction. Later, Jerry returns home and experiences the same unsettling feeling again. He looks behind him and sees nothing, but after walking a little farther and looking back again, the demon woman suddenly appears before him, then vanishes. He enters his room and plays the video he recorded of Alice. He notices something beside her, and pauses the footage to examine it more closely. He manages to piece together brief glimpses, but suddenly the figure moves as if it's attacking him. Terrified, Jerry backs away from the computer. The next day, at the funeral, he meets Natalie and asks her about the location of the old records. He manages to get there, looking for anything dating back to the year 1845. He actually finds the book that Father Hagen had discovered, but it is written in Latin. So he gives it to Natalie to read, since she knows some Latin. She says it is a will addressed to Father Prescott, and it talks about the witch and the devil's bride, Mary Eleanor. It explains that her abilities included performing miracles, and that she claimed the Virgin Mary spoke through her. She would make people pledge themselves to her, and anyone she touched would be healed. But anyone who challenged her would face a very tragic fate. That is exactly what happened to Hagen when she saw him holding the book. Eventually, the entire village gathered, captured Mary, and drowned her in icy water. At that moment, she confessed that she served the devil. As punishment, they placed a mask on her face, hanged her, and her body began to burn. The priests used a harvest doll and trapped her spirit and power inside it. After Mary's death, all the miracles she had performed were cancelled, and everyone who had been healed returned to their original conditions. He concludes that Father Hagen found the book and discovered the truth, and that is why Mary Eleanor killed him. Jerry also concludes that these miracles were not divine, and that Mary Eleanor was disguising herself as the Virgin Mary in order to carry out satanic desires. At the same time, Alice gets up after the demon speaks to her, and tells the people that they must hold a celebration at the shrine today, and that it is in order. Everyone becomes extremely happy and agrees to her suggestion. The demon goes down into the basement, and uses the statue's mold. Jerry notices what is happening and heads toward the statue, lifting the cloth covering it, but he finds a normal statue. Suddenly, the demon emerges from under another cover and attacks him. Jerry manages to save Natalie and escape from the place. They try to warn Alice, but she has already left with Delgard. They follow her by car. Jerry receives a call from Monica, telling him that they agreed, but that he must come to her office today with Alice. He refuses completely, rejects the entire case, and hangs up on her. What matters most to him now is saving Alice. Natalie goes to Alice, while Jerry enters Father James's office and explains that in 1845 there was a woman named Mary Eleanor who claimed to perform the same healings Alice is claiming now. However, the source of her power was not divine, it was demonic. James already knows about Mary Eleanor but refuses to believe the rest. He tells Jerry that a mass will be held today at the shrine and that he cannot cancel it. Jerry becomes extremely worried, realizing that Mary Eleanor could claim all the souls of those who believe in her, which would be a catastrophe in every sense of the word. They reject his request and throw him out. Natalie is not allowed to see Alice. Jerry searches the archives and finds Mary's final confession, revealing that she was pregnant before she died and gave birth to a son. One of the landowners adopted the child, and his name was Nicholas Paget. He was a priest and a descendant of Mary. Her pact with the devil was to live forever, reborn through her children, which means she would live again through Alice's body. Suddenly, the connection is cut off, and the computer in front of him burns. He looks at the statue and sees it cracking. Despite this, he moves closer, until the demon appears and attacks him. He throws the table at her, sending her flying back, but she attacks again. Delgard arrives and tries to expel the evil spirit, but she erases the words from his book. He continues reciting until she suddenly disappears. At that moment, he finally believes Jerry. They explain that the people supporting Mary are only increasing her power, because belief in evil strengthens evil. Everyone is now in danger, not just the priests. She will ask the people to support her 3 times, and on the 3rd time, she will trap their souls and condemn them to death in hell. Delgard attempts to perform a ritual to imprison Mary's spirit inside the doll once again, but every time he lights the match, it goes out. The demon appears behind him, and suddenly the flames rise high, igniting the cross in front of him. It falls on him and burns him. Jerry and Natalie manage to escape, but they realize they cannot defeat Mary except through doubt, because doubt weakens faith and strips the curse of its power. They must convince the entire crowd to stop believing in her. Only then can they defeat her and drain her power. Alice appears and tells the people to praise Mary with absolute devotion. Without realizing what they are doing, everyone complies. Alice's eyes turn white as Mary begins to take full control of her. She makes people all over the world believe in her and bow repeatedly. Mary speaks to Alice, telling her that now is the right time. Alice asks the people if they pledge their souls to Mary, and everyone happily agrees. Jerry bursts in and says that everything is a lie and that he is the one who fabricated it all, but no one listens, except Monica. Alice asks the people a second time if they pledge their souls, and they all agree again. Only one pledge remains. Security tries to stop Jerry from getting through. Alice hesitates when she hears Natalie's voice. Natalie keeps convincing her that Mary is a fraud, that Father Hagen was the one who raised her, and that Mary killed him, so she has no right to control her. Jerry tries to convince everyone to speak up and say that it was all fake and just a story, but no one believes him. Alice hears Mary threatening her, telling her she must make them pledge their souls for the third time, or Mary will never speak to her again. At that moment, Alice realizes the truth. She confesses to everyone that everything that happened was a lie so people would stop believing in her, and she succeeds. People all over the world lose faith in her instantly. Suddenly, the tree bursts into flames, along with all the crosses on it. Everyone runs in panic. The little boy is unable to move his leg again and falls to the ground. Natalie picks him up and runs outside. Only James, Jerry, and Alice remain. Mary breaks free from the tree, removes her mask, and approaches James. When he raises the cross toward her, she burns him to ashes. Her appearance becomes horrifying. She chases Jerry and Alice, burns Jerry's arm, knocks him to the ground, and drags herself toward them. She attacks Jerry and burns his body, preparing to kill him forever, but Alice steps in, takes the blow, and dies. Mary, the demon, begins to disintegrate piece by piece until she vanishes forever, because Alice was the last of her bloodline. Jerry holds Alice and cries, realizing she sacrificed her life for him. He prays to God to bring her back, because she is pure, and for the first time, he asks for something not for himself. He breaks down crying, then suddenly Alice opens her eyes. He is overjoyed and speaks to her, but she cannot hear him. He realizes she has returned deaf again, and all her powers are gone. They hug, grateful to be alive. Later, they gather at Hagen's grave. Jerry has learned sign language and communicates with Alice through it. The moral of the film is that we must always be aware of the evil people who enter our lives, and never be deceived by their gentle appearance or kind manner, because in reality, they are willing to destroy you for their own benefit. And here, our film ends. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.